This looks like the middle of nowhere, but surprisingly, a few miles away, you'll find the largest pre-Columbian grouping of structures found in the United States, built by a sophisticated society whose cultural and trade influences dominated the region. It takes a little effort to get to Chaco. It's located in a remote area of northern New Mexico and requires a drive on dirt roads to get here. But the ruins are impressive, and the people who built these massive structures are fascinating and a bit mysterious. And this is the end of the dirt roads as we enter Chaco Canyon Park. The roads are surprisingly good. They've really improved road maintenance since I've driven these roads. No problem doing this in a passenger car, as long as it's a dry day. These can be very challenging roads on a wet day. This sign notes what should be obvious. These ruins have been to a fair degree unearthed and also reconstructed. It says thousands of tons of rubble were removed from this. When these were found, there were walls jutting out of what looked like hills of dirt. But these are impressive ruins nonetheless. Conspiracy theorists like to claim there's a secret Egyptian city hidden in the Grand Canyon, although no facts support that claim. While here, there's tangible evidence of a community of thousands hidden in plain sight. Chaco has been recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. To me, an important point to remember is that the people of 1,000 years ago were just as smart as we are today. They simply lived in a time with different technology and a different body of knowledge. This site especially demonstrates that. Without machines or trucks or even horses, they built massive structures using timbers from miles away. They built arrow-straight roads as much as 30 feet wide, stretching for miles, and they built massive structures oriented to the cycles of the sun and the moon, like Casa Bonita, which took decades to build, stood 4 to 5 stories tall, covered 3 acres, and contained over 600 rooms, 40 kivas, and 2 plazas. Think of the organization, knowledge, and coordination it took to plan and build a structure like this, and 150 more of the great houses in the region of similar style but smaller scope. What was the function of Casa Bonita? 50 years ago, I started out in anthropology, and the function was unclear, but increasingly the theories have evolved to conclude it was not permanent residences, it was more for cultural, religious, or ceremonial purposes. In fact, it was sort of like Las Vegas, with massive buildings occupied by guests who came in to visit the attractions. The building was 4 to 5 stories tall. These walls were once covered with mud on the inside and the outside, so the appearance was much different. But look at the skill it took to build this building. Think of the labor, think of the technology, and think of how they got these pine vigas moved here from miles and miles away. Truly, truly an amazing structure. And people are looking for Egyptian villages in Grand Canyon. You've got an amazing bit of history with quite a bit of mystery here in northern New Mexico at Chaco Canyon. Notably, the kivas in this massive structure are smaller, kind of like small private party rooms, as opposed to the Great Kiva we'll see later at Casa Rinconada. Specialized functions, I suppose. We're here in the plaza of Casa Bonita, the location of the kivas, with the residential hotel rooms, perhaps, all around. Here are some more of those private party room kivas. One of the nice things about Chaco is you're not kept out of the ruins. You're able to walk through a very special way to get closer to the spirit of the buildings and the people who lived here at one point in time. These rooms are supposedly typical size for Casa Bonita, luxury suites perhaps. The doors are a little bit difficult to get through, but make it easier to close them off to heat or keep cool these rooms in extreme weather. This is a pretty darned cool room. A metate used for grinding corn. Various doors open and close over time. Demonstration of some of these large vigas that were moved in, as well as some smaller ones showing signs of fire at a point in time. This window is reportedly specifically oriented towards a solar event. This rockfall occurred in 1941, destroying about 30 rooms in the Pueblo. The original occupants had built walls, retaining walls, to try to hold it up. Obviously, they were aware of the risk of a fall. It did occur, but about 1,000 years later. This wall faces due east and acts as a bit of a sundial, letting you know when it's high noon and the day is divided in half. These people certainly knew the environment in which they lived. They knew how to farm and support 5,000 or 6,000 people living in this area. They had a very sophisticated society. And from this corner, the wall points directly north. They certainly knew what they were doing. No magnetic compasses back then, as far as I know. Pueblo del Arroyo is identified as a guest house for people visiting Casa Bonita. Maybe that was the Hilton, and this was the Motel 6. The Las Vegas casino theory is supported by this great house across the way from Casa Bonita, Casa Rinconada, which likely housed the people who supported the visitors to the dramatic Casa Bonita. I mean, Casa Rinconada and Casa Bonita were built and occupied contemporaneously. But look at the difference in the quality of the walls and the stonework in this. It's almost like this is the trailer home and that's Beverly Hills. Quite a contrast. In fact, the ranger said the people who lived here were on the average 4 inches shorter than the people they found buried near Casa Bonita. The resort hotel and the workers' quarters. And that's what supports my theory that these were the workers and those were the elite. And that's a theory that is supported by some researchers in this field. This Grand Kiva at Casa Rinconada, the largest that I've ever seen, contrasts with the private party rooms or the private party kivas of Casa Bonita. It makes you wonder if the workers here were controlled somehow via religious or ceremonial processes, and this was part of that control. Roman philosopher Seneca the Younger reportedly said, quote, "Religion is regarded by the common people as true, by the wise as false, and by the rulers as useful." Is the use of this massive kiva an example of that? Who knows? So much is unknown about the people who lived here, their social structures, their lifestyles, how they supported this massive development. It is a wonderful mystery to come see and ponder. What happened to the Chacoans and why did they leave this area? That's still a bit of a mystery. Was it drought, war, overfarming, or something else? That's not known for sure. But what is known is that they dominated the region for about 300 years, and modern DNA testing establishes the current native populations, specifically but not exclusively the Picaris Puebloans, are the descendants of Chacoans. Whoever the Chacoans may have been, whatever knowledge and social structure they utilized, and wherever they may have disappeared to, the impressive structures they left behind in this region are a sight to behold and help us to ponder the circumstances that led to their rise and fall. Chaco Canyon, the largest collection of pre-Columbian structures in the US, is well worth a visit. Thank you for watching.